All right. Well, welcome. On behalf of the staff, the team for the Housing Fund, I want to welcome you here to the Housing Fund's Laurel House, to Noble Park on a beautiful day. We are getting the opportunity to celebrate 25 years, a remarkable achievement. It's amazing to see the banners and the signs that talk about the amazing things that have happened since the Housing Fund was established, and all of the great and hard work that many, many folks have put in over the years. We've got the team here present today, but we've got prior staff, prior board members, constituents, investors. I want to thank everybody that showed up, because you've all played a part in the Housing Fund's history, success, and you have all laid the groundwork for where the Housing Fund is going and for those future years. And so we're here to celebrate 25 years in this remarkable achievement, but I also want to keep an eye towards the amazing things that are going to happen because of the work that everybody here has done. And I want to give a special call out to those that aren't here today, that are watching online, that couldn't be present. It's unusual times, and it's great that we're returning to some normalcy, and so it's good to see everyone here. But for those of you that couldn't make it, we're glad that you're participating online today, and we appreciate all of your efforts over the years to help get us to this point as well. So with that said, we have an amazing video that's been put together. We've got sponsors that help make this happen, and so I want to take this time to turn it over so that we can watch the video and get some additional history and color.
Hello, I'm Doug Jackson, Chief Compliance Officer at Regions Bank. Regions and I have a 25-year history with the Housing Fund. In fact, Regions was one of the original investors. We look forward to another 25 years of problem solving together.
Since the inception of the Housing Fund, we've always seen our role as trying to step in where there's gaps and to try to find creative solutions to leverage resources, private and public resources. I would say in the years that I've been on the board, the gaps have only gotten greater, so it's challenging.
We are one of the fastest growing metropolitan complexes in America, and there is risk. There's risk of losing your home to gentrification. There's risk of not participating if you're a part of the poor or marginalized populations in Nashville.
We're in a great market, but we're in a market that's higher than most people can afford. So it's almost as though in this city, you can't have a conversation about affordable housing without the Housing Fund being involved.
The Nashville Housing Fund was actually an outgrowth of Nashville's agenda. And that was sort of a community-wide priority setting process that started in the mid-1990s. And out of that came 21 goals for the 21st century. One of those 21 goals centered around the availability of affordable housing.
This unique idea 25 years ago to help provide quality housing for families here was just something that was unheard of.
And because it was really a long-term projection of what would the whole 21st century need, we're looking for something that was flexible, self-renewing, and could really adapt to changing needs over a century.
We started acquiring land in 1999 in this neighborhood, and our vision has all along been centered around the word neighborhood. We talk often in our office about how important that word is and how meaningful. As opposed to a project or a development, we strove to deliver a neighborhood.
After the first few years, we realized that it would be really beneficial for the Housing Fund to actually be a community development financial institution, or CDFI. At the time, the Gulch was really just what Mayor Purcell later called the unnamed interstate from downtown Nashville out to the suburbs. A developer had been named, Market Street Equities, and they were just starting their very first project, and we decided to apply for a special round of tax credits and found this interesting property called Patrick Electric and decided that rather than tear that down, that we wanted a sense of place. We came up out of that with Laurel House.
It's a mixed-use project that has commercial, retail, office, and affordable housing all built into one. And it blends into the neighborhood beautifully, and it was an adaptive reuse of a historic, if you call that, a warehouse building.
It was really the first sort of proof of concept of this idea of changing the Gulch.
I think it was a game changer in this part of Nashville because it brought affordable housing into the city, into an area that we knew was really going to become vibrant, and Laurel House was one of the first things that made it here.
I know it sounds like a cliche, but you just need to look around here where we're standing today and remember that the Laurel House was an early example of trying to do the right thing at the right time to provide that safety net for people.
After the housing meltdown of 2007, 2008, we thought that the worst possible thing was behind us, but no. And so on May 1st, May 2nd, we got 2 1,000-year floods 2 days in a row. There's an interesting rule in the CDFI regulations, again, going back to becoming a CDFI, that allowed us to serve a whole area so long as 51% were low and moderate income. And that allowed us to actually administer and provide funds for people who were literally underwater. And after a housing crisis, their mortgages were underwater.
Our strategic plan requires that the organization and the board of directors as a whole play a strategic role in addressing affordable housing. So we've been able to do that in a number of ways through our down payment assistance program, in which we're providing opportunities for low to moderate income individuals to get into home ownership. We also provide capital for developers that want to build affordable housing to make it more affordable for low to moderate income individuals.
Through our development financing, we've been able to help increase the supply of affordable rental housing.
Either nonprofits that didn't have the ability to get financing in traditional banking situations, and then also small developers. We did a lot of loans for small developers.
Be a Helping Hand provides affordable housing to families at 80% of AMI or below. Most of our projects are grant funded, and we have to have initial capital into our project development costs in order to get moving for acquisition or to do construction. And without the housing fund, it would not be possible. They have come in where others have said, hey, we would love to come in on the back end of your project and put financing to close out the deal, but we need that capital in the beginning.
The Housing Fund is a good partner because they provide a critical role in Nashville's community.
Where the Housing Fund partners with banks who are providing primary mortgages for developments, and the Housing Fund has learned how to be creative and fall into a second or a subordinate position.
That is to help people to either buy a home or to live in affordable housing.
You've got the Housing Resiliency Fund get established with a $2.25 million grant from Amazon, an amazing partnership.
They came to us about innovative ideas. I thought that we have to step in and make a difference on how do we help communities and how do we help families address the increase in property taxes. So the $2 million from Amazon is a way to offset that increase. So now we're providing families with up to about $500 to be able to offset that property tax.
It wasn't always easy, but there were people who were actually being affected by what you did. And I think that that's actually what feeds someone who comes into and gives their all to a nonprofit, is that individual that you don't necessarily even know how that affects them in the long term.
Going back to the flood, that was a great example of us bending over backwards to help people to be able to stay on their home they grew up with. Because for some people, just spending $2,000-3,000 on repairs can mean the difference between living in a house and having to abandon it. So I'm very proud of all the multifaceted work the fund has done over the years, not only to help people stay on their homes, but to create new opportunities for people to live in the city.
I think it's a tough business because it's a complex problem. Maintaining, preserving affordable housing in a growing city where values are increasing, where you do have population growth, where you have job growth in and around the core, it creates an environment that people want to be in, but it also displaces families, homeowners who have been here, and it's hard to maintain that.
Since inception in 1996, the Housing Fund has provided over 3,700 families the opportunity to be homeowners. Our future is bright. We have projects that we have funded outside of Memphis, Chattanooga, and Knoxville, and we hope to provide capital even more effectively to those developers that are interested in providing affordable housing throughout the state.
I'm Johnny Moore, Tennessee Regional President for Truist Financial. SunTrust, now Truist, has enjoyed a lengthy partnership with the Housing Fund dating back to 1993. We're thrilled to celebrate the Housing Fund 25th anniversary. 25 years of excellence is a great accomplishment. CDFIs such as the Housing Fund are a critical part of the ecosystem to provide decent, affordable housing in low to moderate income communities around the country. We wish you continued success as you are meeting an ever-pressing need in the marketplace. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marshall Crawford, President and CEO of the Housing Fund. What an amazing video. You enjoy that? We just want to say thank you to our sponsors, Regions Bank, Truist Financial, for being our anniversary primary sponsors, but we also want to thank our other sponsors as well, Ellington Capital, Reno and Kavanaugh. We also want to thank, who am I missing there? Kraft, CPAs. I want to thank them, and then, of course, Market Street Enterprises. Want to make sure that we thank them not only for their sponsorship of the video, but look at this wonderful park that we're sitting in. How awesome is this? It couldn't have been done. And if you've noticed up on the buildings, you've seen those great banners on the building, that is a tribute to Market Street Enterprises, Maddie Press, for her excellent work on that. We also want to appreciate Scott King at Ellington Capital for his work on that as well. This couldn't have been done without some great hands pulling together, making this happen. But this is a celebration. So when I say housing, you say fun. Housing! Housing! There you go. That's what it's all about. It's about having fun for housing. Absolutely. But what I'd like to do before we do a very special presentation is introduce you to this wonderful staff that I work closely with. If the staff could come up front here, I just want to make sure that we recognize them for their exceptional work. We have David Parrish, who serves as our CFO, Angela Belcher, who is our Chief Lending Officer, Dan Evenson, who is a Senior Staff Accountant, Hannah Belcher, who is a Staff Accountant. We have Michael Natella. Now, let's give Michael a big round of applause. He is our communications coordinator, and he helped coordinate a lot of this and pull it all together, but did a phenomenal job. Took a lot of burden off of me and really stepped in and helped organize this. Then we have Trentel Knight, who is a community impact coordinator. We have Terry Woodall, who serves as the Vice President of Community Lending. We have our long-term staff member, and she's up on the building as well. Frida is one of the first DPA clients for the Housing Fund and a fan favorite across the entire state. So we give it for Frida Brownlow. And we have Kansas Winburn, who also serves as our senior loan officer, and then new to our staff is no other than Alicia Haddock, who serves as vice president of our community impact. This is an awesome staff. They have done a wonderful job, so we just wanted to thank them and recognize them for the great work that they do as well. Thank you. So I would be remiss if Philip can come up and we can get ahead, but I also want to recognize some very important people that also sit among us as well. We have former Mayor Bill Purcell with us today. We appreciate you attending as well. We have Councilwoman Berkeley Allen, who is also with us as well. Any other public officials in our midst? Well, we thank you both and the great support. Our former board members that are here as well, and former staff members that are here. We really appreciate it, and thank you for it. And so what I'm going to do is turn it over to Philip, and we're going to do a very special presentation today.
All right. Now comes the really exciting part of this. This building, going back to 2004, has provided homes for 48 residents on a rolling basis. They've had a place to live, a place to call home, a base. And the Laurel House has been here, but today is a chance to celebrate something really, really special and to do something amazing. And so, Loretta, I want to ask you to come up. I would also invite Our current board members, former board members, if you're here today and present, why don't you come on stage as well? We'd love to have you. All right. It's a little bright up here, but that's great. So come on up here, Loretta. Oh, sure. So these homes, this building, this all hatched with Loretta and a lot of folks here, but you've done an amazing job. And so we want to honor you today with the renaming of Laurel House. And so it's my pleasure to have Marshall reveal Owens Place on Laurel. This commemorative brass plaque will go on the side of the building. And this is to honor you. Congratulations. And we'd love to hear some thoughts. We've got you and David here to talk.
Yes. David, who is my partner in crime. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well, hello to everybody. It's wonderful to see you all. It's wonderful to be here, and it's an honor to have this go up on the building. What a long, fun ride it has been. We put the fun in Housing Fund, and really, the Housing Fund was an outgrowth of Nashville's agenda, as I said in the video, and really, I guess it was Keel Hunt who sort of got that ball rolling, and we got the 21 goals, and Bob Schell was chair of the action committee that moved toward the formation of the Housing Fund, and really the first person who I think everybody here would know almost none of the affordable housing things that are happening today would have happened without Jerry Nicely. And he really gave a lot of encouragement to nonprofits and a lot of encouragement to us in setting up the fund. And really it was because of him that those first 4 banks came forward so quickly. But we had to grow from there. And David Thibodeau and I made a great team. And when he called to make an appointment with a banker in Nashville, they basically had to locate their wallet because we had a great little dog and pony show that we went to raise those funds and make it possible, and then it sort of evolved through the years. And really another couple of names that I'd like to call out is that I'm sure you all remember Heidi Dixner, who got started with us, and she was the one who actually helped Frida get that number 2 loan from the down payment assistance. And then later Trish Greer came and joined us with doing the development loans. And we have Karen Tippett, who kind of came on after that. We thought that the recession was going to be the biggest thing, as I said, and really it was Trish and the team that helped us survive through the crisis, and really helped a lot of homeowners survive through the crisis as well. And then, of course, came the flood. We had Paul Johnson, who really stepped up to do a lot there. And but I'd say that the real point of it is that Nashville's agenda imagines something for the 21st century, and that it was not a short-term fix. It wasn't a short-term thing, but it was, when David and I would go to the banks, we would always say, this is something that we envision to last for the next 100 years. And that's really the long-term thinking that we were thinking about at that time. And so to get to the 25-year milestone and to have the Housing Fund with some of the old people and a whole new set of people flourishing, addressing new problems, Nashville's agenda didn't imagine there was going to be a pandemic. And but it planned for we knew that there would be unknowns in housing. We didn't know that the growth would be explosive. We knew things were prosperous. Mayor Purcell was with us at our 10th anniversary over at City Hall, where we had Cajun food and some music from JD from the Station Inn. again, we didn't know what the future would bring, but we knew that it would have challenges that would have to be met. And I think that that's really what we set out to do, and that's what the Housing Fund really continues to do, and that's the sort of asset that's important for a city to have. So a new group has come up with a housing plan to try to address some of these things. So I think the challenge today is to work that plan the way that we worked a plan 25 years ago. And I like to say that working on affordable housing is really a lot like farming. The field has to be planted every single year. The work is never done. You're always going to have to get up. You're going to have to figure out what needs to be done. You're going to have to take the weather that comes to you, and you're going to move forward. And so I think that this is the celebration of what that is that people get together, they figure out what their community needs, and then they go out and do it. Thank you.
Well, Loretta, oops. Nope, don't. Let me just make sure. Well, Loretta, you've given us a wonderful history and road that the Housing Fund has traveled. Let me just reflect on what I remember most is those first days after it was announced and as part of MDHA, in that small house across the street with the staff and early board members trying to decide, what is it this means? What is our vision? What do we want to accomplish? And what program should we launch that will make that successful? And remembering the evolution of that into CDFI, Laurel House, administering government programs. All of that is a wonderful legacy to build on. And I'm sure that 25 years ago, we thought housing needs were terrific, and they were. But today, I think they're even larger and more challenging and greater needs. So as we look forward, there are 4 things I hope the board and the leadership of this organization and the staff will focus on. 1, remain true to your original mission. 2, be aggressive in raising funds. You can't raise enough. 3, be proactive in your program development and collaboration. And 4, continue the legacy of excellence. And I trust Marshall and his associates are up to this challenge. Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Thank you, Loretta, and thank you, David, for your visionary, for your support, for your dedication of getting us to where we are today and setting the foundation for us. We think that this is vital. And Loretta, what we would like to do is to present you with a replicate of this so that you can put that in your office, at your house, just showing we are renaming Laurel House Owens Place on Laurel. We're excited about it. We just wanted to make sure that you smell your flowers now. And this is a way of honoring you and saying thank you for the work that you did in laying the foundation. And I know I have big shoes to fill, and I hope that I can do just a small part of that. But thank you all for your dedication. We have one more thing before you go. One more. We want to invite our corporate sponsors to offer a few words beforehand. Absolutely.
Yeah, so Doug, if you're watching, Loretta says hello. But this is like a homecoming. You know, I was one of those bankers. I switched from our consumer banking to CRA 26 years ago. So this contingent came to see me, and I really didn't know what they were talking about at the time. But of course, here we are so many years later, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. I want to thank Doug for allowing me to step into his shoes when he went on to bigger and brighter things at our corporate headquarters in Birmingham. But Regions has been a long-standing partner with the Housing Fund, and we're very proud of that. We're proud of the accomplishments of the organization. And again, Nashville, as it grows, very proud of Nashville. I'm a native, but as it grows, we want to make sure that there's opportunities for everyone to thrive, excuse me, and flourish. And so to that point, again, Marshall and your team, we are so proud of what you're doing. Again, we're glad to be a part of it. We intend to continue to be a part of it. And Loretta, thank you for your vision, as well as the folks here in the city of Nashville. We appreciate all that the leadership has done to promote affordable housing. And again, I want to also recognize our market executive, Lee Blank. He was unable to be here today. But again, thanks so much for the partnership, and we look forward to continue working with you to make Nashville a better place for all of our citizens. Thank you.
And our last speaker will represent Truist Financial for their partnership as well.
I know. Actually, it's SunTrust, now Truist, but that's okay. The last one, that's okay. I'm Jane Melrose. I'm a commercial relationship manager with SunTrust, now Truist, and I have been privileged to work with the Housing Fund for the last 16 years or so. It is quite an honor. Very simple-minded in that I think if we make a difference in the life of a child and the life of our families, it changes the world. And so that's what the Housing Fund is doing by helping provide affordable housing. So it is an honor. It is an honor that SunTrust, now Truist, can be a part of that. And we look forward to continuing that relationship that we have, starting with Loretta and now Marshall and the rest of the team. And I envision that our grandchildren will be here one day doing the same thing. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for caring about the Housing Fund and for making a difference in our community.
Thank you all for being here, and have an awesome rest of the day. Thank you.